So who would have awarded the penalty try so far? Twice? Easier to do like Aussies, do you?
No, well, thanks.
This is a huge gathering. Thanks to everybody for coming. We even have a quorum according to our old bylaws, which is 50% of our in good standing members, but I think we have 42 at this moment. Depends on this area. So anyway, let's start off with annual report by so they're not all out yet.
They're not all yet. Okay. They'll be out this week.
I'm sorry, Ryan, I'm sorry. One of the reasons I was always so fit is because my eyesight was bad. Would you please read that? I can't move anymore. That's why I don't ref.
All right, next slide. So this is kind of the story for this year, income versus expenses. Profit is a little bit up this year. We had 11,000 last year for profit. Main reason is the UK exchanges. There's going to be 2 exchanges next year versus 1 this year. One in March and one in September.
Well, yeah, we haven't taken, the 2 people we nominated for exchange in 2014 haven't gone this year. They're going to go in 2015, and then we'll, in theory, have another one in
Another one next fall.
Yeah.
So that's really the cap payable, not profit.
January, February is a great time to go up. No, seriously, because it gets you ready for the season here.
Yeah. We also didn't do the Canadian exchange this year. So, because of that.
And if you're at the right time in February, you catch the early Six Nations.
Alright, sales by category by month. So this is skewed a little bit just based off of when I did invoicing. As you can see, August and October didn't do much on the invoicing side, so November got a lot of it. Hard to read this, but the biggest category is center referee for the A7 matches, followed by tournament fees, and this is Rugby Colorado's 15s, are the largest pieces of the pie there. Income and expenses by month. You can see that I think it's about 60% goes to the referee stipends of money that goes out. Everything else is supplies, travel, dues, things like that. So by customer. So largest piece here. So this is kind of like a generalized category of people that don't have large bills. The largest piece of the pie here is Rugby, Colorado, with about 21% of our income for the year. The city of Glendale for just their Denver Seven, or the Sevens tournament that they had this year. It's already 9% of the income. So from this, you can see we did 592 billable things this year, whether it was referee, AR, things like that. Matches, to break down matches, we had 214 in center. For A side, B matches, there's 25 of those. Another 20 with ARs. And then tournament fees, there's about 57 tournament fees that we got this year too. So, Rugby Colorado accounted for 165 matches by itself. More exciting pie charts. Referee stipend obviously is the biggest part of the expenses, just showing travel and entertainment and kit are the next ones followed. And billing errors. Yeah. Income and expenses, kind of the trends throughout the course of the year. And where we were previous years to.
That's our expenses?
Yep.
First year we bought kit.
And this one's skewed a little bit just because I had an error when I did this chart, but we are still up about, we're up about 10,000 from where we were last year, so not quite that much. Top customers we have, and people that owe me the most money. So.
Who's it? Rugby, Colorado.
Rugby Colorado, Boulder,
Jason.
Mesa,
Athens?
Yeah, 1,000 for
Best.
Fest, so.
then Colorado College Women, Glendale Men, Air Force Women.
Oh.
He's here tonight.
How do we owe money?
Man.
Seven invoice, I'll have to fix tomorrow.
Yeah, this is all just current.
These are all current.
There's only
Gary, you have a
I believe,
comment?
3 clubs that are still in the rears for spring.
Mesa.
Mesa. No records, they have a credit now. Because they made a prepay and they didn't play all their matches. Boulder.
Do you bill for games before we do them or after?
Depending on the club. If there's two or three clubs that are terrible at paying, I make them prepay. Everybody else we do after the season.
I think our goal is to have a website that you would have to pay for it. Like, I want to put my game on there and I gotta put my credit card in there for $100 and it just didn't.
The only problem with that is we get things from like Frontier League or the Union, so each team has to go in and input. So that's just.
Yeah, so it just didn't.
It's a good idea.
Huh?
It's a good idea though.
Well, it would have, yeah, we just, like, we had to go, Stu, what was the website we were looking to do that? Like,
One of those,
yeah. It's like, you have to subscribe to it.
Larry?
So if you get it right, 220 matches covered, what's it, 160?
no, 165.
On top of, in addition to that.
Yeah. And the matches for the 165 also include sevens matches. So. Any other questions?
Dan and Gary.
So I'll handle the spring and summer, Gary will handle the fall. Few general trends. First one, Rugby Colorado on the boys' side really has not been doing anywhere near the number of tournaments that they used to, which used to be a huge drain where, they want 6 referees or something, and, a all-day event, and that's been going away. So that actually freed up a bunch of refs. The other trend in general that we're gonna see next year, a lot of the games that have been nationally appointed are now being locally appointed again. So Dean College, some of the men's stuff is gonna be handled by ERRFU again. So whoever the incoming secretary is, do be aware of that. So spring actually went fairly well. The biggest issue was getting the schedules in, getting the system up and running, but once we were past the technical pieces, pretty much, I think we covered every game. Some folks had to double up. It wasn't always the easiest or the prettiest, but everything got covered, which was great. During the summer, one of the big things that goes on, there's a lot of folks who don't want to drive to the mountains for whatever reason. Or you say, hey, are you available and need you at Grand Junction? No, I don't want to go to Grand Junction. If we're going to develop a game across the entire state, we have to be willing to make that trip. I've been out to GJ 3 times this year, 4 times this year, Aspen at least 3 times as well. So it's one of those kind of things where if you're going to take your game forward, if you want to go ahead and really commit to being a good local ref, you need to be able to take any of those local games and the stuff that sucks, like driving for 4 hours to get to GJ and back again. So that's it. Spring and summer, any questions? Yeah.
Do you have any solutions for the Grand Junction portion?
I have quite a few ideas. Probably the most practical and one that could be implemented the best. There are a few people who are out there who have said that they want a referee. The biggest issue there is getting coaching out to them, because they really are sitting out there as an island and they aren't being coached through the modern game. They aren't being coached through the modern interpretation, and as a result, the players don't see what happens. Doug's comment to me was that he feels that there's a bias against them, and what it really is them just not understanding, here's how we're interpreting it. Everybody within the city or the Front Range, they're seeing a variety of refs, seeing a variety of high-level refs, and then when they do see somebody out in GJ that's not a C3, C2, they don't know what materiality is, and they don't understand that interpretation. So it'd be good to get some refs out there, but also to get people who really go out and go coach those refs who do make that trip.
This might be a stupid question. How much is a flight to Grand Junction?
A flight to GJ?
It's a lot. It's $400.
Yeah.
Okay.
Only Frontier goes out there. It's, yeah.
Yeah, you take a 4-hour flight, like, stop taxi there, so.
Take just as long though, but I think it's just curious.
It's where they're taking the drivers out of it. Yep, nope, that's fine. That's why I said that. Stupid question.
I don't know, I just might suggest if it's a organization like that, then you charge them triple gate fees until they put forth folks to get trained, and then we can train them up and take care of the problem.
And that's been
a valid point, because I mean, you look at, you send somebody out there for a match and it's $50, and then their mileage alone is another $108. So we're spending more than what we get basically out of that match.
Yeah, and I charge them $500 a game until they wanted to fix the problem by putting forth folks to get trained, and then we can take care of training.
Yeah.
And when I took my level 1, it was actually in Grand Junction. We had 8 people in the course, and none of them referees except for me. So
The only problem with that, Kurt, is, is we can't treat them totally different than every other rugby club. So we're going to tell every rugby club in the States it's going to be 3 times until we get referees on.
Those in Casper, Wyoming, those in Grand Junction, yes, it's a, I mean,
Do we want to grow the game or do we want to just kill it? Because that'll kill it.
The flip side, it doesn't have to be a cliff. You don't just say.
I understand, but I would argue we're not growing the game now because, like, the stated problem we just had, we're not contributing to the game, we're sending somebody over to put a finger in the game.
And I don't think it's something, you have to do overnight, but you tell them, you've got a season to find 5 people, we'll get the ref out, or we'll get the ref educator out there. And if they don't do it within the season,
Kurt, to speak to what Ryan said.
Joe?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. Oh, hell, I forgot. Oh, yeah. As several years ago, when I was in this, you know, do we pay all this extra money to get a ref to Grand Junction? I was told by our friend Gary up there that some sales you make a lot of money and some sales you have to lose a little money. And that's just the way it goes. You know, kind of like Tom said, do we want to grow the game? Secondly, I was out there one time this summer in August, and I was told that they had 5 people, and we were working on setting up a course out there, and something went wrong. But I think they're on the brink of it. Thirdly, if we do get a bunch of people trained up, and let's say that a couple, 3 of them do want to referee, now we're looking at the problem of Grand Junction having the same referee every weekend, every other weekend, and is that fair? Back to Gilligan, I think we need to bite the bullet. We need to pay the extra amount of money. We need to lose money on this sale, and we also need to, if nothing else, guys, we need to take our turn going out there. One person driving out there 3 times in the summer. Come on, staunch up, folks. Go have some fun in the mountains, you know?
Eric?
2 things. 1, I agree with Tom and Joe that I don't think it's fair. 2, if we just say you need to produce more refs, that goes right back to the problem of they don't see what the refs in the front range are doing, and those people aren't coming to our meetings. It creates a bigger pool of people who are having the same problems.
We're going to have just a game being played that's totally different than anything else in the country.
Yeah, the other thing I would say is, I know at least at the club level, there's no clubs in Grand Junction, it's kind of moot, but the union, well, senior clubs.
There is.
Not that are in the union.
Some.
Anyways, going back to that, the union has money available for extra travel, so maybe it's something where if you talk to Rich might say, yeah, it's worth throwing an extra $50 at a ref if they're willing to, or whatever it takes to get people out there. We put aside extra money this year to get people.
Society a bunch of money and they haven't paid any of it yet, so.
We'll talk to Rich about that. Don't be silly, this is my final point.
Anything else, spring, summer?
Kind of back to a little bit what we were talking before we get to the fall. Junction is not the only net loser for us. Casper, when we do have to go up there, that's a net loser. Steamboat, I'd have to ask Ryan, but we probably,
It's a loser.
that's a loser. Aspen, it's the same distance, it's a loser.
You don't lose going to Aspen. I mean, it costs some money.
You do not lose going to, I mean, there's nobody in this room who won't take a trip to Aspen in a heartbeat.
You'd be surprised.
That's why Dale
That's why I was there.
22 people in this room that would not do that.
Yeah, but there's, we probably got 5, 6, 7, Mesa, or not Mesa, Western State's another one. Almosa. We're gonna lose money on 5 or 6 venues a few times a year. How many times do we really have to go to Western? The front range teams, we net money on every game, whether it's $5 or $35, whatever we net, goes to support that. You know, at the end of the day, we're fine financially doing it, correct, Ryan?
Yeah.
We're not dropping in the hole.
We're right.
No, the bottom line problem is not the expense of sending people out there and back. The bottom line problem is that we want to go.
Well, we came up with this is the same issue we had 2 years ago when we tried to come up with a new policy, or 3 years ago. And we want to do it, like, we want to do it by zone. How many zones are you crossing to pay you to get you to Grand Junction? Like,
I think, well,
we all voted to pay mileage 25 cents, and that was going to be okay, and we just have to take our turn in the bucket when we go to Grand Junction. The problem is we're not taking our turn in the bucket, and I'm just guilty of that.
I think the Mountain League altogether is kind of a losing proposition for the society. We lose money on almost every match that happens.
We can go to Breck, we can go to Vic.
But,
We're okay going to Breck and Vic.
but you just showed that we made 11 grand this year. And I mean, and even if you knock 2,000 of that off for the exchange that's coming, we made $9,000. We don't need to nitpick for the greater goal of let's grow rugby. I do like Kurt's idea though, of if you get be an outlying area, and it gets back to where I also said, if we're going to have a pool of referees out there, then those of us who are senior refs, those of us who are coaches, and those of us who are evaluators, or PRs or whatever we're called these days, you've got to be willing to take that trip, and the society will be willing to go ahead and fund that for your mileage, for your time to go out and do the coaching and everything, because otherwise we do run into the situation where they're playing this bizarre 1990s style where they truly don't understand that if one team puts 5 people through, the ball carrier can do whatever they want with that ball because it doesn't matter, there's not an offense. And they just don't get that.
Well, and if we do get 5 referees out there, the only way we're gonna get them better is we're gonna have to pay for them to come here.
Come in.
Same as we pay for people who lead the society to go places where rugby. Same way that you got to where you got by going places where rugby. The cops bring them here. So it's the same difference either way.
I think it's more cost effective to put education and training into that area to then make it self-sustaining with 5, 10, 20 referees that are getting better from our sport instead of just setting up a referee every week. That's me.
But the only way to get those guys really any better is to move them here too.
Or use Mountain as a.
Kurt, we can have all the classes we want. If we don't have anybody,
On referees, that's where $500 a game makes those teams feel a little bit more drastic about it. I'm not saying we should make $500 a game, but it's worked a lot of places where it's, you make a premium, they don't wanna pay the premium, there's an easy solution to that. Put up folks for training, very easy.
What about paying for us a hotel, honestly, you have to do that here?
Yeah, I think we pay.
So there's the option to either get, so you either pay for your hotel room or they pay the match.
So that was the option. Always, before when you did, you'd go to Breckenridge, you wouldn't get a stipend, you'd get a place for the night. But a lot of people would choose Western, go up there and back. So you now have the option to either take your stipend and gas, or you can go up there with your significant other and ref the game, and then hang out in Breckenridge for the night on their dime.
It's all like Grand Junction, I mean, it's a hell of a hike. The weather,
it's even worse for
You
you.
had referees go and do that in the day, so again, that's their choice, but like if you wanna go play golf on Sunday, that's
well,
fine.
I'm not talking about the phone places, I'm talking about obscure locations like, Casper and whatnot. I mean, I don't have a problem doing that. I did it back east, but they also hook us up, if it was far enough, like Happy Valley, you get a hotel. So you didn't just like die on the way home, coming back, falling asleep on the road. That's
You
not-
actually want to stay at Penn State?
Yeah. Shut up, man.
Steinberg's.
Another
So-
thing that, sorry, another thing that might help, and I don't know how much control we have over this, but is if we can get, more than one game scheduled out there, right? Like we can have, whatever it is, Mesa and Grand Junction play on the same day or play Saturday, Sunday, so that you have 2 refs going, or you do, more than one match in a weekend. I think that would make it.
That would be great.
That actually happens a little more than we realize. The problem is the women want to play at noon, and the men want to play 30 minutes after the women are done, and
Do it the other way.
A little
around,
rough.
it's
What-
feasible.
There's a new field.
not the point, Joe.
Yeah, I got you.
90 minutes of running,
Takes 2 reps.
half an hour's break, and another 90 minutes of running. I don't care if you do men first, the women first, somebody's not getting a good game.
Well, yeah, I mean, you should save it for the women's game, you should go all out for the women's game as well, because they deserve it.
I mean, we're trying to get,
But in that situation, like, you could have 2 refs.
You send 2 refs, but
Well, yeah, that's ideally, that's what we wanna do for all of
much
them.
more just if going.
East side, East side, women's game.
Tom, we're burning a lot of time on this right now. Is it something we can table?
Let's just table this for now.
so the fall season, we missed 1 game at Colorado State University because that was the weekend we found out, an hour after the game kicked off, that USA was gonna let us cover that game. And didn't tell us. I know some guys in Nashville got some pretty angry phone calls. I got a pretty angry one and just said out the problem. We didn't know we were covering the game, so that's the first time in forever that we have not covered a match.
Which match is that? Do you remember?
Colorado State versus CU.
Game
Which they then decided to play on a weeknight and have the coach from UNC cover it for a league match. We'll figure that one out. Other than that, the fall went pretty well. We did have a really big technical glitch, and a huge thanks to Stu and Eric for sorting that out, because the Union site crashed after our site had a little hiccup. So we were kind of operating blind for a little bit.
For you?
Got any questions about the fall? There wasn't a lot to report.
Nice job.
who had time to read this letter?
Question again? If you're ready.
Tim's letter on RDO?
Tim's.
Yeah, he said nice things about it.
Somebody wants to.
Someone to read it?
Does anybody need to have that put up on the screen and discuss it?
Anybody want to hear?
I mean, put it up where we can't read it?
Only small.
Perfect. There it is.
We were doing my best Luscombe impression.
Okay. You understand okay?
Apologies, I cannot be with you at the AGM, okay? As I would have preferred to be present in person, okay? However, this is a wrap-up of 2014 development.
It's okay. So anyway, basically what he said is we expect to get better next year at getting coaching for individuals. I mean, that's about it. We had a fairly good number of actual Joe's assessment reports in. Gilligan is now through his class, so he'll be able to do some of those as far as looking at promoting people. At the same time, we just have to have people out coaching and actually getting reports in. Which brings us to then to Stu, because he's going to work on getting a coaching thing online. You ready? Ready. Let's do this. Wow. Great idea. It's ready. Right in, didn't it?
All right, so the website, accomplishments, working, stuff, what's going on right now, upgrades and general discussion. Accomplished, we have one. There it is. For those of you who have not been in the meeting recently, Johnny Rugby, Chuff here, and Steve Gore grace us with their very sexy bodies. Anyway, for those, pretty much everybody who's done a match this year has used the match reports forms on here. You've seen the notifications for the schedules coming out. We started putting some society info up there. The rules and procedures for which we're going to talk about in a little bit are up there now as they currently stand. Some links to the kit, some other things hopefully coming soon. The fitness section that Owen Dennis had put together before he kind of signed off here this season. And the newly added law quiz courtesy of Derek Summers. The appointments page is what I think everybody's most familiar with. I've got some of the schedule for the spring up there already. I know we're going to be hearing from Rugby, Colorado probably within the next month or two. Is that going to be up there? Yeah, we'll go up there as well. So a big change for everybody. Again, if you haven't dealt with it, all of our Rugby Colorado, Rocky Mountain Rugby, and our national appointments that take place here within our coverage area are listed on this site. And so if you're the referee, you'll get a notification. If you're an AR, you'll also get one telling you what the role is. There are a few comments I've gotten from some folks about some other additional info they'd like to see in those notifications. I'm going to work with Steve to try to implement those over the winter, but they're pretty minor. The other things coming, so as Tom mentioned, there is going to be a referee coaches feedback form going online for the spring. That'll allow your referee coach on any given weekend to sit there with you if they so choose and work on it. They can actually come back to it later. And will result in an electronic record that will get emailed to you and also get saved into our records for folks to go back and pick up later if they haven't, if you've lost your forms at times.
Do we have a mechanism so that only the referee and the coach, or the coaches can see that?
Right now, that's how it is. That it's only referee coaches who can see reports.
Correct.
The referee gets a copy, as does their mentor if the referee coach elects to send it to them.
It's not publicly posted.
That's right.
Yeah. It is not publicly posted.
You have to get invited to.
So you guys don't get to make fun of each other.
And you cannot use the form, it's got a validation code that you have to type in before it'll accept it and send it.
Right, because we don't want ghost referee shenanigans going in there to make fun of Flappy. So
I do that on my own.
I was gonna say. Anyway, so that's coming. Another thing that Steve and I have talked about, the team coach feedback form. Rugby Colorado does it through their system, but one item, and we'll put it, again, this is open for discussion. Would you guys like to see a team coach's feedback form out there available for you to receive feedback from the coaches?
Yes.
The ayes have it. We will put something together. We'll run it through the executive committee and also have it ready for February's meeting for adoption. It'll be in place for the spring season. But that will be ready to go by then as well. Other upgrades, I don't know about e-commerce, maybe allowing teams to pay online with their credit cards. I don't know if that's something we want to explore. We've talked about it before. It's never really been gotten a lot of traction. We may work on a document management library of some sort, past minutes, things like that. We do have the video up there. Mark, if you want to go to click on Huff. Click on it. That'll take you back to the home page. You guys can find the Easter egg. He dances.
That's what you did.
Then click on the review TV there. Mark, down there. That was the good match. You can access all of the videos through a playlist on this page. And there's also, it'll actually pull up right here. You can actually go right through there. You can pull them up right within the window. So there is a record of all of our meetings are there. Most recent videos are all there as well. So with that, it's your old website. I simply push the buttons and click the mouse. Is there anything out there, changes, suggestions, additions, deletions?
I have all of this,
I bet you do,
but
I'll email it to you. Yeah, you can email it to me. Yeah, Bill.
Just one thing, and maybe you guys already addressed this, but man, if I have to go through 6 more Facebook pages to find a point of contact one day before the match, I'm gonna,
Team contacts?
yeah, it's killing me, man.
well, there is a website for the unions.
Yeah, but
Yeah, but they're not updating.
Yeah.
poorly maintained at best.
We have 9 teams.
Well, it's self-maintained by the teams though, right, Eric?
I mean, I know one
We have
team
9
that has
teams
some.
submit contact information.
Well, here's an example.
Slow down.
Hang on.
An example that happened was like, basically I went down the entire officer roster.
This was
and
for
until I hit
the
last guy,
UNC.
and then he had to call the president because the guy thought I was a bill collector. And I was trying to call his number, so, I mean,
I'd be
it's just an
scared.
example. I mean,
So,
3 or 3.
Bill, you're saying you need to work on your delivery?
No, it was.
Hello, is this?
I don't know.
So what I'm,
UNC was the other.
yeah, so what I'm hearing, improved team
Yeah.
contacts, however,
And I talked to Mesa about it, and they're like, well, we're on the website. I'm like, no, you're not.
yeah, I mean, so I would say to Tom, maybe this is,
Eastern Rockies has not did that.
yeah.
That's not in our purview.
Well, maybe we can
And
ask.
we can beat up Eric since he's kind of with those guys.
Men's senior clubs only.
Well,
That's all I got.
I just say it's a gap in there.
Yeah, I agree.
Address it.
Here, let me-
No, I was gonna say, we had this issue as well, so we're helping it for all the unions. So I know, yes, we'll put pressure on the union to update it, but it's like within their own AGM that too, but maybe as we go along the season, it took 6 different contacts for you to figure out who it was, like I know I had a game where it was really difficult. Maybe we just have a Google Drive that we can all enter it in, and we can put a note in there, like, for University of Wyoming, like, instead of having to contact 4 different people, I eventually found the right person. This is the right person to call. It wasn't on their website for whatever reason, this is the person. And then notes too, like I know the Wyoming game, they're like, yeah, our field isn't actually, there's no address, this is what you have to do, and they gave me directions. So then I could just copy and paste it, and then anyone else who does that University of Wyoming game,
So-
know that there's no address.
On our Google Doc that has contact information, fitness scores, all that stuff, I'll just add a tab for club contacts. And then there'll be a living entity, so, you know, in January, there'll be no one on there. And then as we all get assigned, when Chris gets an email from Joe Schmo at USA Rugby, and he's doing Mesa, just go on there and add it to Boulder. And then when Kurt does Fort Collins and he gets contacted by that guy, just everyone, so eventually it'll just kind of be over, and you can add more spaces to it. You know, you can add treasurer, match secretary, this is who I got contacted, so if we all commit to doing that, we can kind of help ourselves out. Is that everyone to do that? Like every time you go in there, we can get contacted, you just go onto that Google Doc, and there'll be another tab, and there'll be a thing for club contacts, and we'll figure out a way just to go.
To populate it.
Make it a category on the match report.
I was gonna say, that's the other option, everybody's gotta fill out the match report, and you guys, I mean, we can easily have it,
That,
Will that automatically go in then?
we could make it.
Well, but the thing about that is, most of the time, like when I'm doing a match report, it's on my phone, it's right after a game, so I know I just get it done, I don't worry about it. And I've already voiced my opinion about, I think there's still way too much shit on the match report, and that we need to tighten that up, we can talk separately. Adding something else to the match report, especially that's not gonna be mobile friendly. I mean, ultimately, like you just said, ERRFU needs to get their shit in order, and we're fixing a problem that we shouldn't have to fix.
Well, here's a dumb question from me. Why are we having to contact these clubs on Friday?
Well, that's
Exactly.
that.
Well, some of that came from the big glitch, where everything was at some point being posted on the ERRFU site. When Stu brought the new site to life, there's some technical reason that the two sites weren't talking. No, the problem was that when they were trying to switch over to the Rocky Mountain site, we don't keep club contact information. As a result, and we didn't get the master assignments out, the clubs don't know to come to the new Rocky Mountain Ref site either, so there was a big... So people didn't know where the schedule was.
This should be a very small problem next year because they will know where our schedule is, they will know who the referee is. And if they don't contact you, it's not your fault that they haven't contacted you. You don't have to hunt them down. Call the match secretary up and say, hey, they haven't contacted me, can I have another game?
And trust me, there's plenty of games to go around.
It should be, again, hopefully, it was a perfect storm of a complete cock-up with everything. It's a new transition to the website, so it's not how it was. It probably couldn't be any worse than it was this fall, like by getting assignments on Friday and not knowing the club's not contacting and knowing I have to reach out. So hopefully we'll recalibrate, go back 2015, you have to be contacted 3 days before your match. Hopefully you'll be contacted, they know where the website is. Again, if you're not, if you really want the game, then you may have to reach out and do it. But technically, if Jamie's on the game, then I'll reach out to her, she's supposed to call to Joe's Evans, med secretary, get me into the game because X didn't do it. That's technically how it goes, but.
We are getting paid to do a service, I don't think it's unreasonable to reach out to teams and do, I understand it's a policy for them to do it, but we're willing to drive ourselves 4 hours across the state to grow the game, but we're not willing to contact the team.
I know, we all agree that we're gonna update that thing, so.
Right.
Here, here.
2015 is
been harsh.
I'm just saying, it was a problem out east too, it's not like a localized problem.
So we all just commit to adding those contacts when you get them to the spreadsheet. It'll be a very little problem. Yeah?
Kurt?
Yeah.
To kind of speak to what Kurt was saying a second ago, it's harsh to do that, but if you ask Gil, it's the same teams over and over that are waiting until Friday night or sometimes Saturday morning, correct?
And you say it's harsh, Kurt, but 8 years ago, they said it's harsh to have a fitness standard. Now it's just part of the game.
Well, you know, I guess my
And
point is,
if
if
we
we're gonna be
hold it to
harsh
a-
on this,
If we
But we're
hold it
going
to a
to be doing
standard,
other
the only
things.
way you're gonna get a standard held is if you hold it to it.
Kurt, as harsh as it is, you typically only have to do it once.
When it's done.
And then,
Why is
like
it
I
the
say,
same
sometimes you
teams
gotta
over
shoot
and
a
over
hostage.
again?
Everybody else gets real compliant.
Are there any other suggestions, comments? Yes, Kurt.
how about a get involved referee button, I want to be a referee.
Referee recruitment.
Real big button that
Yes.
says, I wanna be a referee, and you add your email address.
Yes, just like when they don't pay their invoices, you say, well, you're not getting a referee, and miraculously they have a check in the mailbox the next day.
That, I think that's wildly different, but I would agree that you should do that.
You want the nastygram, wall of shame?
Derek,
You're up.
You're up.
Real quick, just, everybody here hopefully has taken the quiz.
Go to the front.
All the ones.
I don't know how much you guys talked about last month, but every month we're gonna do a law quiz now, about 15 to 20 questions. Please take it. It's not required, but it almost should be. It's not difficult or anything like that. If anybody has any questions about specific parts of the quiz or whatever, you can email me directly and be like, hey, I think this answer is bullshit or whatever. And I'll just send my response. We have the option. Stu's told me we have the option to add video, so we might experiment with that next month, but the quiz should be coming up tonight. We'll send that out. We'll send that out tomorrow, and then yeah, we're making it available on the USA Referees Facebook page, so a lot more people are taking it. So yeah, just it's for your own benefit. Please take it. It's not difficult. It's not trick questions or anything like that. Just take the quiz.
just out of curiosity on the last quiz, what was the scoring range?
Very few people got 100, I'll say that. Very few people got 100. A lot of people missed maybe one question. There are some people who was like, holy shit, please read a law book. So yeah, it's kind of all over the board. It wasn't a very difficult quiz, but you know, some people maybe read that little green book a little more.
Nobody's gonna know if you have the book open while you're taking the quiz. We're not looking over your
It's
shoulder.
not the point. Please don't do that. It's not about getting 100. Okay, I don't care what the score is. Whatever. It's for your own benefit. Do you know the laws?
There it is.
Are you going to learn the laws by looking it up in the book as you take the quiz, or are you going to learn it by taking the quiz, being honest with yourself, and then going back in the law book and looking it up yourself?
Okay.
Okay. So please do that. Yeah.
Yeah, please take the quiz, but then go back and figure out why.
If you have questions, if you're looking for like a law reference, I'll be happy to tell you where it is or whatever. So yeah.
Can you put that into the answers?
We're trying to. We were thinking of that. I'll get back to you.
It's evolving.
Yeah.
Please
It's
take the
evolving.
quiz.
This is quiz 2.
Hey,
Quiz done too.
The first one was great, well done.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's a good point. Yeah. All right. Cool.
Steven, your eyes can't be that.
I believe it's the comrades.
So 5-year plan, we've talked about it a couple times at these meetings. We did get some feedback from Kurt, thank you Kurt, that some of the feedback has been incorporated into the version that was sent out yesterday, or 2 days ago. So I'll just give a brief recap of it. Mike Lois Kaja, who's gone now, myself and Justin Tafoya, who manages the referees for the Tri-Youth Rugby, put this together. We started by looking at the survey that many of us filled out around this time last year, used that to develop what we thought were the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats facing the society. Then we looked at a number of different 5-year plans that different rugby referee societies, rugby unions, and referee societies have put together, and modeled this primarily off of the USA Rugby strategic plan that is out there, as far as like the different sections and timing that they had. So those sections are leadership, development, performance, marketing, communications, and revenue generation. So, yeah, I think, is the plan to vote on this today? So I think what we'd like to do is vote that this is the plan we want to move forward with. And if it is, my vision of it is it's something that goes to our chairperson, and they look at the specific goals that are in here and assign those to different people on the executive committee, and then we'll present, at the AGM.
General society.
Yeah, fair enough. So we assign it to people to try to get those accomplished, and then once a year or twice a year, we'll report on our progress towards these goals, and if there are things that should be changed in it, then at that same time, once a year, twice a year, we should review this and update it. I agree.
So a question for you, it has short-term and long-term goals, nothing really in between. Are you gonna come up with new goals each year, or how about you?
So what we saw was that USA Rugby's strategic plan goes through 2015, and we were asked to put together something at the beginning of this year for 5 years. So what we tried to do was something that matched up with USA Rugby's goals, so the end of 2015, which at this point is next year, and then one that matched up with the 5 years.
Okay.
So I think probably we should look at that more as terms of like end of 2015 and end of 2018, but I think we should absolutely continue to revise and update this document as we need to. Yes, Mark.
Well, I just had one comment going through, make reference to midterm goals. It's now 2015, those ought to be near-term or short-term goals for this year.
dropping the ball by that.
Yeah, so that was my only
Yeah.
non-substantive comment to the document.
Agreed. I mean, I think that some of those goals, when we wrote them, we'd already accomplished. I think some of them we can still accomplish, and I think unfortunately it's taken much longer to get this conversation going than we had anticipated.
Can we just change some of them to be a little more realistic? I mean, really, we're not gonna get a guy participating in the Rugby World Cup, but maybe offer something that we can get something a little bit better tier 2 than we normally get. Because I mean, again, no one in this room can make a guy referee in the World Cup. But if we can get a guy considered for maybe a better tier 2 test. I mean, even there, unless there's someone, a horrible plane crash, Derby's not gonna work.
Top 6 referees all die in a plane crash.
Unless the IRB meeting in France and everyone's gone, still wouldn't get out. I understand that, and I think a good goal would be like getting a top tier 2 test. That would be a real big stretch, is to getting a Romania versus Russia. That would be a huge gift. I mean, that'd be a huge gift for USA. A little on earth. I mean, USA will get Junior World Trophy, probably won't get Junior World Cup. I mean,
but I think if I recall correctly, USA Rugby strategic plan had that goal.
Wow.
Steve did that?
Well, and the other thing is, along that goal, is this staying in men's World Cup?
well, there you go.
Yes.
True.
So it was.
It's on you, Peter. 2020,
What, the next World Cup is 2017.
17.
2021, he could have won for that. For women.
And the other part,
2017 is the next one, World Cup.
Yeah. So that does fit that.
Mark, I think the other part of what you're saying is, the goals should be stuff that we can actually control.
Yeah.
What's our span of control, what's our scope of control on that? Getting somebody into the World Cup is beyond our scope of control. Getting people prepped to be able to work the national event, possibly be working the international event, meeting those kind of standards and having people that are candidates for that is within our scope of control. But the knock-on piece of that really isn't. So creating a culture of high-performance referees
who follow what the IRB is doing, who would be considered for that, while still growing the C1s of the world, would be something that, you know, that's your development piece. Just a thought.
So I think there needs to be a mix of that with, so go ahead.
To respond to you, then if what happens if Slayer Barak is here, you can say, it has to be made,
But I don't care about team mentor women, I'm saying.
But like what I'm saying is that the ultimate goal, and yes, there's a lot that's out about our direct control, but that doesn't mean to say we can't strive to get there.
I think the difference is between Dan, it's not a smart goal for us to have that, it's just, but the change is like to have a candidate be able to be chosen for that. Like to nominate a candidate to be possibly selected for them is a better goal than actually just, because that's Joel's decision. Or it's, I don't know who the tier 2 guy is anymore. So it's not, but if we train Derek and Kurt, Karen, whatever, and give them the opportunities to achieve standards on the fitness test and high marks in performance and do our job to train and prepare them for that, then that's our goal accomplished because we supply them with candidates to be considered for it. Like if we did have Leah and she'd get picked. You know, that's kind of like the smarter goal for it. So we reward that and saying, you know, prepare our candidates potentially for nomination for that.
I think that this group did their charge. I think we have a good document.
I think so too, it's
them.
great.
I think that at this point, what we're gonna do with this part of the strategic plan is part of what the executive committee is gonna do. It's gonna focus on some things and not others. This one, if the executive committee disregards it entirely, that's fine.
Motion to vote?
Hold on just a second. Can we make one change in the leadership? Since we're not doing minutes, we're just publishing, we're just putting these film online. Can we change that to 100% of meetings will have minutes published within 48 hours?
Unless someone wanted to do minutes.
This is technically minutes, so you.
So we
can
can
leave
call
it.
the film minutes.
Just change the verbiage in the document.
So
Well, I
everybody,
think that's the question, right, is do we want to make some specific changes in this? One, changing minutes to videos, and two, changing the World Cup goal? Or do we just want to vote on it as it is?
One question, I think there's a reference to 15 executive positions or something along those lines.
Correct.
And what positions are we talking about?
So I think our idea there is, you know, today, and I think we kind of see it in this meeting, is that there's a small number of people that have large roles within the society. So the idea was to have, you know, a larger number of people having some sort of official role. So, you know, these people are going to be on the website committee, and these people are going to be on the finance committee, and these people are going to be on our actual development committee, right? That says, like, let's take a name and put a title next to it. Not that we're going to have 15 executive committee members or 15 voting members on the executive committee, but something that's more formal than we have today.
and we're already moving that way.
I agree.
Maybe Stu and his gang, and you and your gang.
So we could also change it to games if you like. With cool name rights.
Games. Do we have a motion? Motion approved. No, I'm asking if we have one, so you have to.
Motion approved.
No. Motion, second? No. Second. Okay. So all in favor of adopting our strategic plan as written, raise your hand. All opposed? That was easy. Good job, Steve. Bylaws. The old one was on the website. We sent out a proposal that Kurt did for the new one. Has everybody had a chance to look at that?
No.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So there's lots of red lines in it. I try to keep all the edits. For those of you who know how to use the review function on your Word. It's on there. I apologize for those of you who have never seen this before, it's probably a little confusing. But it gives you a perspective as to the differences between the old one and the new one, so you can see what was deleted and what was added and changed. Here we go.
I can read that.
So, if you have specific questions, happy to answer them. I guess what I would say overall is what I try to do is simplify the document. I took out some things that we don't have purview over, like one of them was the largest thing is changing the name. So I would advocate that we change our name to Rocky Mountain Rugby Referees instead of ERRFU or ERRS or whatever we were in the past. I think it's easier, and I think going along the ways of updating ourselves online and otherwise, it's an easier brand to have. The other one was some of the overreaching things we had in the last document, which was we will solely be responsible for match official appointments and matches played under the authority of, there's some of that language in there which is difficult to sort of just take that authority from whoever you take that authority from. So I tried to simplify everything down, change the name. I didn't really add anything actually, outside of just some verbiage changes, but happy to address any individual questions if you have.
Rocky Mountain Rugby includes, geographically, it includes what used to be ERRFU, or what is ERRFU, pardon me, what is ERRFU and Utah.
Well, Rocky Mountain Rugby Referees can encompass whatever we want it to.
Okay, the way that I've heard this thing evolving over the last couple of years is that what is ERRFU and ERRFU Referees has been joined with Great Basin, Utah, in a geographic union. Am I on track so far?
Not the referees.
On the
Okay.
union side of things,
Not the referees, but okay. And what are they calling that GU?
Rocky Mountain Rugby.
They're calling that Rocky Mountain
But
Rugby?
there's
Okay.
teams in the Texas GU that have refs from like the Mid-South and Deep South, and
Okay.
they don't have to line up.
If we start calling ourselves the same thing as the GU, if we start calling a referee society the same thing as GU, has anybody contacted Utah Referee Society and see how they feel about that? What's the administration of those two entities going to be?
Any changing of our purview or areas we cover or teams we cover right now. Simply a name change as something that's easier than Eastern Rockies Rugby Referee Society. I'm getting rid of
Okay.
society and I'm getting rid of the Eastern. I just
So
make
you're
it
taking out the
easier
whole
thing.
jurisdiction, the whole article of jurisdiction, so there isn't a change.
Yeah. Like I said, I didn't add too much, I deleted some things, but that's certainly one of the changes.
Yeah, you deleted the whole thing on jurisdiction. So
Yes.
there's no description of where we can go or where we can't.
Right, and because I don't think that should be in your
Is that an
bylaws.
issue? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think that should, I think one of the things that I see when I evaluate bylaws, that are the documents I've looked at, is it's a little overreaching, it's too much to actually have to go back in. So if we added a team in New Mexico, would we have to go back to our bylaws and rewrite our jurisdiction in our bylaws, which is a 2/3 majority vote of all? We don't have to do that, we just want to be able to say, we ref New Mexico now. So that's a policy procedure change, not a bylaw change. And so I think getting as much out of this document that should be policy and procedure is my goal. And then policy and procedure would be what Tom and his team would do daily, say, this is now our purview, and we can link up with Utah or not, we can do whatever it is we need to do on the fly.
And it says in there that we will contract with the individual.
I think clubs, teams, and organizations that we need to, yeah.
So if somebody from New Mexico does want to contract with us, or if somebody like BYU, which we've done in the past, does want to contract with us, we can do that. My concern is, I do have some of Joe's concerns in that we have received, am I correct, Ryan, questions from Utah referees wanting reimbursed for.
Yeah, because they fill out reports on our website.
Yeah.
Matches in Utah.
Matches in Utah with the Colorado team, so they think that we should pay.
And then-
Do we charge them for it?
No.
Oh, yeah, pay you for it.
I told them.
That's where it's
Certainly a valid concern, I think. I don't know that a name change is going to either fix or compound that problem, but I think we can maybe find a different way to Sam and his group over there.
Yeah.
I have been in contact with Sam Madsen and said we do not want to be together.
And there's,
What?
It's likely to cause confusion.
With who?
With the GU, if the GU's called Rocky Mountain Rugby.
So we don't really contract with the GU, we contract with certain leagues that play a certain level of rugby. We contract with Rugby Colorado for high school, we contract with the men's division, whatever, not this division because that's US, so we contract with individual leagues,
Yeah, but I'm saying
not so much
it's
GU anymore.
just has a possibility of being misunderstood.
Oh, sure.
The GU is called Rocky Mountain Rugby.
Even
And we call ourselves Rocky Mountain Rugby Referees, but we're only a small part of it.
I'm with you, but I'd argue that we're the best part of it, and so let's take the name now and roll forward, and if people want to join us, that's awesome. If they don't, they can be in the Great Basin, Northwestern, group of friends. So,
I mean, to the point, I had that, same thing happened in the East Coast, Potomac and Virginia, and it caused a little confusion among the referees, but not among anybody down there.
yeah.
I mean, everybody's still kind of contracted to Potomac that was in the DC area, North and Maryland, and everybody in the rest of Virginia with,
That's a great example of the EPRU, and then the Potomac, and then, it's a mess. It's just a lot easier to call that the Greater Washington DC area, whatever you can call it.
So, the other part, we have to have that jurisdictional change in there, because we already have other referee groups that are refereeing in what the old jurisdiction was. Take a look at the tri-referees, look at the age grade stuff. Those aren't under our aegis, and as a result, we need to have that change. My only substantive change is rather than saying that the AGM will be the first Monday of December, just say the AGM is on the December meeting, and again, that gets us away from,
Ours changed that part, it's now.
okay, so,
It's not, I think it just generically says, we'll have an AGM once a year, I don't even think it says in December.
It does.
The one that I saw, it said it would be on the first Monday, I'm like, let's just have it as the December meeting.
I think that was the first round, I don't know, somebody, I think it was this one.
That's the one that you sent out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
I haven't
yeah,
seen you in it.
that was,
Point is valid.
yeah, that was the only substantive change, we'll have it once a year, and we just appoint it.
Chris, I think Kurt also wanted to have a meeting in January and July, at 12 meetings.
Phew, fire him.
Well, I'm just saying, I mean, like, some people come to the meetings, some people don't, but it's another reason to get together and run fitness or do whatever, or,
Drink
you know,
beer.
why not have it?
do we need?
It says the AGM will be held annually, so that's the only change, I think.
Perfect.
Somebody sent that
It's been
change back
fixed.
to me to change it, I don't know who that was.
Well, why don't we annually in December? Let's not just make it some, because we gotta tie it down a bit.
Well, but what if we decided we want to start doing it in July, and
And
then we're aligned,
bylaws, yeah,
we're aligned with new,
I really try to take anything that would,
For the
we never, I mean, this is like the Constitution, right, you shouldn't have to touch it very much, we do day-to-day laws for the rest of it, so I think that as much as we can have it in that vein, that's what I tried to do.
I think you say in December.
I'm hanging out with Guy too much. Cut it down.
Way to go, Gab.
Try it down a bit more.
So, I also advocate for the Rocky Mountain Rugby Referees change for a couple other things. First of all, to take the society name out. I would argue that it doesn't work to our advantage to bring people into our fold, to call ourselves a society which is exclusive and, usually something that drives people away. I would reference young Mr. Pettit, welcome, sir. I'm sorry, I don't know your name. Cameron, nice to meet you. Cameron, and we should hopefully have lots of more Camerons, and I think we can do that with some changes like that. Although it's a small thing, I think it does affect folks that are not in this room. And then I think the Rocky Mountain Rugby Referees puts us atop any of the other groups who would be doing refereeing potentially within our organization. So if the SROs keep doing what they're doing, if college conferences ever get into that game, or whatever else it might be, it sort of puts us atop them for a vendor of services, whatever we else become in the future.
Can I add to that, that it's also a marketing thing for us, especially in the context of the 5-year plan, that we do look to produce revenue from our services outside of simply refereeing. And as a result, it helps that when somebody searches for rugby referees in Rocky Mountain, Denver, Colorado, whatever, we want, from a marketing perspective, our name to come up first. Just like any business. Search engine optimization, that's what we want, is for our name to be there. So Rocky Mountain Rugby, to echo Kurt's suggestion, is very clear and speaks to our goals and intuitive. So.
As well, in case there's somebody who wants to give us money from the Western Rockies, they're going to say no to the Eastern Rockies people. It's never good.
There is no Western Rockies.
After we make those friends in Grand Junction.
There it is.
maybe come to Western.
And if we don't want it, we give it away.
It is an important thing to change your bylaws, no matter how small or insignificant the change may be. I think it is an important thing, and so I would encourage you to read through them, and if there is challenges to it, or ideas or thoughts, or just questions, it is a big deal to change bylaws, no matter what it is.
Can you explain your thinking about getting rid of the minimum requirement to be a member of the society?
Yeah, it was level 1, and again, I think there's going to be new and different referee courses, like there's an intro refereeing course right now that we might be targeting, and as well as a minimum age to take level 1 currently, and do we not want members that are under that age to be able to come in and join? So I think it's again, it's an exclusion that doesn't need to happen. I think if we wanted to set a level of membership, it would likely be a level of involvement refereeing, not necessarily the level of training that you have. So should you get 3 votes if you have the level 3? Probably not. You should, if our membership has a minimum level to it, I would argue that there's probably better metrics than just the level 1 training course. Because if a parent takes an AR course and never wants to take the level 1, then, or sorry, a touch judge course, and then never wants to take the level 1, are they not welcome here? Gilman.
Just in Article 5 and A, you're referencing a bunch of non-existent clubs. ERRFU member clubs, it's now RMR, as opposed to ERRFU, and then and maybe I've got an old copy of the doc here, but then talking about, the West, WRFURA.
That's all gone.
Is that, why?
I left it in there because I don't know the names. Yeah, I don't know the names, what they are. I think we should, again, that's one of those things I probably didn't read too closely. We should just cut it all out and say any constituent bodies.
Done, exactly my thought.
I like that change. That way we're not stuck to their names.
I was just say, I agree with let everybody in, especially if we want to enhance like having DJs and stuff like that. If we want to, there's nothing opposed to saying everybody can be in, but if we really want to if we think it's going to be a problem, we can set a restriction of you have to take level 1 to vote on the AGM or whatever.
500 people in here that are willing to do it, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
And then, we have 500 people now, it's too much. Maybe 400 people who are actually refereeing. And I'm sorry, Chris, you didn't show up for the fitness test, Karen did, we're gonna give her the match. So that would be great.
It's a luxury.
Competitive,
But actually going back to it, doesn't stop anybody being a member of the referee society, whatever we call it, it's just they can't vote.
Correct.
So there is a correction to that.
Sure.
So if you got a bunch of parents coming in, as much as we want them in, but we want them to be active members, and what I think the rationale behind this originally was that they have to be active members, and by meeting the minimum qualification, whatever that might be, they become an active member. Otherwise, you get people coming in and voting at the AGM en masse who have really not the interest of the society at heart. So I'm not sure that that's a complete...
I think membership, as we define it, is $75. Is that the...
SIP registered to USA Rugby.
USA Rugby registration and our $75, so currently they have to at least pay us $75. So if they wanted to rig our voting for $75 each, we might want to take that deal.
Like that. Maybe we should have 2 of those.
Sure.
I think it's something to be explored.
A voting member versus a, yeah. And we can.
So what I might suggest then is, I guess without, and if there's any other change, then potentially we can go back, but take out Gil's point about the 4 organizations that are named there, we'll change that passage, we'll then rework the membership.
Mike will submit to you what he thinks it should say.
And then we'll resend that out to everybody.
We'll send it out to everybody before January 1st, so that way everybody will have time to look through it for a vote in February.
One of the things I thought was interesting reading through that is it talks about an RDO, which is, from reading the bylaws, is designed to develop the coaches and mentors and performance reviewers, and then and then a development committee officer that is designed to
one to develop the referees, one to develop the administrators. And
yeah, exactly. So that's obviously not what we're doing right now. Do we want to continue having those positions in the bylaws? Do we want to merge them, remove them? I don't have an opinion, just a question.
Well, we haven't had people even do it lately.
So maybe it makes sense to take them out as designated by the committee.
Yeah.
That's always always the easiest thing, is to just say, here's the board of folks who charter the organization, and they get the power to then make decisions below them. That's really what the easiest bylaws read. Okay, so we'll make that potential
Or you
change as
can
well.
make it suggested subcommittees might be.
There you
We
go.
have to have a standing committee with like some sort of fiduciary fiscal responsibility committee. That's really the only thing that we have to have. So you have to have a secretary and a treasurer. That's really the only thing that we have to have.
February 5th?
I think you also have to have a chairman with fund responsibility.
Executive director, chairman, president, yeah. There has to be that person, but then the treasurer and secretary. Okay, if there's any other changes, email them over. We can work with the document. We'll get it out before we.
Ray, your turn. Thank you.
Your name, Rick.
Hey, how's everybody doing? Rick Goldamer, been refereeing for a couple of years. So recruitment's hard. It might come as a surprise to some people in the room, but not everybody wants to ref. And the people that think they want to ref a few times and decide they really don't want to ref. But we can definitely do better right now. Just general, I think there's a disconnect between getting the people in the class and getting them certified and then getting them actually refereeing. They either weren't getting on the schedules or they weren't getting the support they needed, and it was kind of hard to talk them off the cliff. We've talked about it some. I think we're going to maybe do more of a team approach. It almost needs to be a retention person versus a recruitment person. Getting them in the class versus keeping them from jumping off the cliff. But on that, I think it went decent. We were pretty successful at getting new to us referees, people that are already certified that moved in. We kind of tracked them down, hounded them, and got them refereeing here. So, yeah, any questions, thoughts, comments? Who wants to help a lot? Oh, hey.
Looking ahead for the next course, a couple of us need recertification. And obviously we don't want to clash with the Vegas tournament, so we're looking at the Sunday following that, which is the 22nd.
February 22nd?
Sorry?
February 22nd?
Yeah. Okay. So if you know anybody, that's the date that we've got in mind, if that's okay.
That's fine.
I was gonna say, I'm happy to help with recruitment, and something that I know part of the strategic plan is to, and overall is kind of from Tim's email too, is to get younger referees, and something that I think I tried earlier this year, but as many of you guys know, I work with high school teams and high school players. I think it's really important if we should let the teams know now that we're going, if they are going to high school season next, refereeing is really, really good for college applications. It shows leadership, it shows productivity. It's something that needs to be communicated. It can count as work, experience, it can count as volunteerism. I think if we can put that out there, if you want me to put together, and actually Brittany did write something about it. So it's from USA Rugby saying, we encourage high schoolers to actually take the course. It helps them, but it also helps them for, actually, we can put in there for college. So if they want to do that, if we have one maybe set up specifically, like we have a level 1 course or even an AR course just for high school players.
We can do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can.
Definitely, Karen.
So like how we
I think we need a women-only course, we need a high school course.
Yeah.
And then regionally, we need to see where we have holes, like if the Western has an issue, we can focus specifically on driving those folks to the scholarshiping them in or whatever else we have to do to get them to the course.
So if you're of a committee or something, I'm just happy
Joe?
to help.
This is a bit off, but I'm just curious, how many of you got a survey from USA Rugby last week on women referees? Okay. quite a
How many
few.
of you took it?
Quite a
Women's
few.
rugby with a link at the end to the referee side of things.
Women's rugby, you're right, thank you for the correction. Yeah, that's a good question. Once again, hands up if you got the survey, and keep your hand up if you've completed it.
Painfully.
Keep your hand up if you were able to do all three.
It was a doozy. Yeah. Okay, show off. Yeah, thanks. Just a curiosity there.
So just a comment on the youth side of things. We do have the tri-league that we are very uninvolved in, and there are 15, 20 high school aged kids out there that are refereeing 6 times a summer. So it's a really probably great place to recruit folks and get contact information, and we can help train them and coach them and encourage them to participate in other ways.
That's where guys retire from this stuff too, you know what I mean? I mean, just saying that, getting like younger and younger, like, you know, we can catch those guys that are just retired from rugby because they're broke.
Let's not get those guys.
No?
Yes.
So real quick,
That's a great place to recruit.
before we keep going, questions. One thing we ran into, I mean, obviously I got the vibe from on high that, you know, youth. So I worked really hard after like college and some high school guys. I was working with Hugh, Rugby Colorado. 2 things you run into. One, college people have no time. I had tons of people on the list, just couldn't get them in the class, well, except for this guy. But we can't all be art majors.
I didn't know you were majoring.
The other thing I ran into this last class was the price for entry went way up, and it was kind of like out of nowhere. So you're talking
175.
to sit in the class.
To
So
attend the class.
yeah, so it's a little hard for the tri people and some of the high school guys I talked to. Yeah, and people are looking shocked and looking around, even the USA Rugby people, but this is what it was, and I talked to Rich, and I couldn't get anybody to give on anything, so.
Wait, who set that, we set the price?
No, what you have to do is be SIP registered, then you have to pay to do the background checks.
Yeah.
And then you got,
That's part of your registration.
Some high school.
yeah, but it's taking people away, Kurt.
I'm not saying it's not overcomable, I'm just saying it was a bit of, it ran some of the youth out of the class.
175, because I know I took the last.
Referees pay more than anybody's system.
So that's it, it's referee dues for this group, and then it's also then membership in the revenue, your SIPs pay. So the 2 separate fees that you.
Yes, but if we're trying to bring somebody into the game.
3/4 of that is our choice. We have to do it.
That wasn't our.
No, I
choice,
spoke
that was Rich's choice.
I had a long conversation with, your colleague.
Cortez.
Rich Cortez?
No,
Brittany? Doesn't matter,
no,
go on. Go on with the story.
Hey, Todd?
Tim David. Tim Snyder.
But he said it can't be changed.
Oh, Tom Cornelius.
No variation to it. And I said, this is crazy, we're chasing people away, because he said.
You don't have to charge anything, you don't have to charge anything for the course. If they wanted to ton of certification, then they're gonna have to charge at least $50 to be attend the course. You don't have to be a member of USA Rugby to take certification.
So I went in as a Joe Schmo high school guy. To get through the website, you have to pay all your money. And you have to do the background check and all that crap, and it's $175 to sit in that class, as of now.
But we're gonna get into position, if you don't do that, and you want to order the materials.
I mean, there's, like I said, I'm not saying it's overcome, but that did hurt us, the young poor people.
Dividing the class into 2 nights instead of doing it all on one day, doing it as auditing for an entire college team to go to the campus and give it to them at their school and audit it and give it to them for free. Don't have to certify anybody, but they have the education. Those who want to referee can then get registered and get certified. There's a lot of different ways to go about this that are not traditional, I think, but we don't have to stick to the book of it has to be 175 and only once a year in this room. We can do whatever we want to do with this.
Yeah, the timing and the number of courses we can do is entirely up to us. But in order to order the materials, if you want to give them the material to work the whistles and what have you, you've got to go through Alpha Graphics, which means you've got to register online.
I think it's all stuff that they.
Well, let's talk about this,
Yeah,
let's take this offline,
table
you and
that,
I,
that's-
we're doing the next course, you and I can talk about it.
So yeah, basically, I'm not saying it's not overcomable, just it's kind of a weird moving target this year, so.
Tim Cornelius.
I would say, and this, I think someone mentioned it as well, I think you mentioned it, Kurt, when talking about the website. I think making something that makes it easy. I know, like, for me, coming here, like, I didn't ref the entire time I lived in North Carolina because I could not figure out who to contact, how to get involved, how to do anything. Even here, it's not intuitive. It just happened to be that I saw Mark, harassing Kit at one point, and so then I actually...
Take notes.
But then I actually Facebook messaged him because there's not actually an intuitive like, hey, are you a ref already? Here's who you need to contact, here's how to get involved, or are you interested in reffing, here are the steps. And I would say that the same thing applies at USA Rugby. Like, to be a coach or to be a ref, like, like the buttons to click, it's like, I feel like there needs to be like step one, do this, step two, do this, step three, so that you can be like, okay, yes, I did this, or I did this, or I contacted this one person. Like, right now, it's just not an intuitive process. Like, because if I hadn't actually wanted to ref, it would have, like, I would have given up many, many moons before, you know, Facebook messaging Mark. So I think figuring out how to do that.
Back to the development front really fast. If it's possible, I see it just from the men's club side with the local union. If the society would actually vote to say, here's the recommendations of ways we would like you to schedule things, I think that'd go a long ways, especially talking to each other. Like if we want to do something in Grand Junction where there's a college game and maybe Park City's meeting the Harlequins at the same time, awesome, we can send out 2 refs. Or I know Gary was sitting there shaking his fist at the sky because the senior clubs knew not to schedule anything during Aspen, but nobody else seemed to get the message about that. And I think a unified front from the referee society would go a long ways in fixing a lot of that. If we wanted to have high school games with club games and then one of the more senior refs can sit there and watch a younger ref on the high school game or whatever afterwards, awesome. But none of those groups are talking to each other because they don't think they need to. And I think if the refs say you need to talk, they will sit down and talk. Just a thought.
So if you do have, again, like if you do talk to someone, I'm sorry I didn't harass you instead of kids. We do have a tab again to go and fill out. So I just met Paul. He was at the local coffee shop and he used to play for blah blah blah. Get his contact information and go to the tab and just fill it out. And Rick has been very diligent about about calling and following up. And again, it's not Rick's job to recruit. It's all our jobs to recruit and get Rick the information and help, you know, call him. Again, it's not his job to call Kevin Berry, but you know, I emailed him on 11/19. I just put it in there. So, you know, if you're bored one day, you want to call some people and email them. It would be nice if 3 referees reached out to you. Kurt, do you want a referee? No, I can't do it. And then a week later, Chuff reaches out to you. Hey, I'm like, hey, these guys want one. I might consider it.
Yeah. Enough said? Mark Nelson?
So our current contract with Rugby Colorado is up. Do we want to add to it, change it, keep it going, change the fees? It went up to 2014. So we don't
What are the current numbers?
Right now we're billing 75, paying ref 50, which I don't think we did. I think we paid 45. But technically it was supposed to be paid 50 per the contract. So that's technically expired.
That's before any mileage is paid.
Yeah.
Rugby Colorado doesn't have a lot of mileage to it.
Summit.
Summit has
GJ.
I think we just paid mileage, but we didn't bill the clubs anymore.
So we're about even by the time you add mileage.
In that case, I believe it.
We don't want to increase it, we don't want to lower it, just keep it.
I think that's
Do
not
3
the
years.
It's too close to their season.
We had a 3-year,
Are we operating at a loss with them still?
we had a 3-year, and in 2011 it went 55, 65, 75 is what we billed them, and then I think we've always paid 45. Eric?
I was just saying, I think at the very least we should keep it for next year, because I think it's too close to their season to be changing their fees at this point.
I guess I'm just wondering.
We have this discussion every year.
Kurt,
That's the
then Joe,
argument
then
every
Mike.
That's
year.
their argument every year.
But we could vote to change the 2016 fees if we wanted to. I'm just saying,
Right,
we
we
should
should have this information before we get to this meeting.
Kurt?
I think we should look at what the Colorado High School Athletic Association charges for soccer referees and probably come in line with their, you know, align it somewhat similarly with what the other high school sports are doing. So that way either are we wildly high, are we wildly low, are we, you know, billing differently than everything else. I think if we move more toward the big middle of what everyone else is doing, it's probably make more sense for everyone. And we likely get, I think in my mind, I think we actually go up.
We're wildly low.
Yeah,
We're not wildly, I mean, the average nationwide is 62 to 86 for a center referee in any sort of.
Plus they get the sidelines paid for too.
Yeah, most sports have more than one referee.
Kurt, I think
every game.
middle soccer referee, middle lacrosse referee, they get about $170.
No,
No,
so I
that's
think,
including your sidelines.
I think we probably should just ask the question to Chess and they can tell us what it would be, but I think that's probably where we wanna start the conversation and then as well talk to Rugby Colorado.
Joe?
Yeah, that information you can find on the CHASA website. I did that many years ago when Colorado, as they were called, tried to get us to drop our fees completely. I told them you're getting a sweetheart deal, and they still are getting a sweetheart deal from us as you compare them to other sports. Piggybacking on what Eric said, and I've heard a couple other people shout it out, but I'll make it official for everyone. 2015, we stay the same, but we negotiate the following 2 years, 2016, 2017, at incremental increases. Things go up, things cost more, and you know, I'm not saying bury them, but that, you know, that would cut our own throats too. They would go find someone else. You know, things are going to start costing us more too.
Mike?
If I recall correctly, Rugby Colorado is our largest AR at the moment.
Largest payable, yeah.
Account receivable, so how are we going to correct that? Do we need to
That's
bring that in?
been billed in arrears.
Yes, but the fact that they are way behind.
No,
New contract
no,
in
that's
place.
for 2014.
It's not going to change what, is it going to change their behavior?
They're not behind.
They're the best payers that we have.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
said it.
Rugby Colorado we bill in arrears, so he just now sent the receipt
So,
out
okay, that's a good,
for this.
so that's not one of the two that you came up with that's
Not
billed in
That's
advance.
Boulder
I pay in
and,
about a week. Everybody else pays in 60 to 90 days,
Okay, thank you.
or 6 months.
so,
Next century.
So, what was the motion?
keep it the same.
Keep it the same for 15, and then leave it to the exec committee to figure out what increments
And
we'll
negotiate a new contract starting.
for 16 and 17, or maybe for
Start
16,
with
17, 18.
negotiations now, bring them into the
Yeah.
meeting February, March. Okay?
Their AGM is the 13th of December. Probably.
What?
Their
Colorado.
AGM.
So we should have somebody there.
John Mooney is the.
John,
is the
he's
music
the
director.
guy? John is?
Is there a way to just carve an hour or something in that somebody could go to?
That was a motion. Discuss it.
I believe it's 13th of December.
Which, okay,
It's gonna be a Saturday.
I second it.
Okay? All opposed? All in favor?
That's bad stuff. You're lefty, aren't you?
Listen up, y'all. Winter social, Karen. This is great. We actually had somebody step up and volunteer with a great idea for the social.
Before the meeting.
Before the meeting.
So, I don't know what you guys have done before, so is this a suggestion?
Drink heavily.
So as you guys know, my husband and I, we just moved here. We have a home in Indian Hills, which if you don't know where that is, we're right past like Red Rocks, a couple miles up the road. So we've got a house there, we're on 2 acres. We've got, our neighbors have told us we've got the best sledding hill ever in our area. So if you guys are doing it in January, I don't know what the weather is like. I'm assuming it's gonna be snowy. Thought if we did it on the weekend, like a Sunday afternoon, people can come, they can bring their families. We can have cider, hot chocolate, drinks, whatever. You know, your kids can sled down the hill. We can just kind of hang out. We can have games, like fun social things in our kind of yard. You can run a beep test if you want.
It's snowshoes.
Snowshoe beep test.
Eric, what's the offset for
The
that
only
gonna
thing we
be?
need to do is just figure out a date. So the first weekend of January, I'm out of town, and then the third weekend for the National Development Summit. So, you know, I don't know if people already have, you know, we can pick a day and hope you guys can make it, or, you know, Sunday's better. I kind of like Sunday afternoon, because it's kind of nice. I know it's far for some people, so then that way you guys,
You're pretty centrally located for the.
are we? Okay, I don't want to.
So,
Boulder
It's,
straight shot.
but from here, it's about 30 minutes, from here door to door.
Well, we went to Coburn one year, so yours isn't as strict.
All in favor of, say aye.
Aye.
Karen will pick the date and get it back to us. It's too late, sorry.
Thank you. Next thing.
Oh, next thing.
From the floor was brought a good idea. In the interim, while we're trying to reconsider bylaws by vote of everyone later, if for kit purposes and otherwise, could we vote on just the name itself change as a group now? So that kit could be updated because we ordering kit.
Yeah, I do need to do that.
Does anybody have a problem with that friendly amendment?
Yes. I like Eastern Rockies Rugby Football Union. I don't see any problem with it. Making it simpler, come on. What are we, third graders? Losing the name Society, I don't see how that scares anyone off. I see nothing wrong with it. I don't see why we should go through all the expense of rebranding just to, as Kurt says, make it easier. Sorry, I don't see it as any easier. Eastern Rockies Rugby Football Union has a long and well-respected tradition throughout the nation, and we would we'd be throwing that away.
Move to call the question.
Second part.
No, he called the question, so I'm seconding.
Gary,
I move to call the question. Gil seconded.
anybody further?
Now call the vote.
Sit back in the corner.
Okay, I can do this.
He read Robert's rule.
All in favor?
Can I make a suggestion before we do this? So maybe one way that we can kind of compromise and address both these concerns is have an AKA. So, we can operate under the name Rocky Mountain Rugby without our kids, but still keep ERRFU.
See, I'm sorry, Ray, that's a big chunk of my argument against, because the rebranding and an AKA, the way you suggested, means that the name ERRFU will just go away de facto.
I'll take it back then.
Okay. All in favor of the friendly amendment that Kurt brought? Raise your hands.
So this is just voting on the amendment.
Just the amendment, change the name, so we can have
What is it again, Rocky Mountain?
Rugby.
Rocky Mountain Rugby Referees versus Eastern Rockies Rugby Referees Society.
Now, if you vote for this, you're voting for Rocky Mountain Rugby Referee. If you vote nay, you're voting for Eastern Rockies Rugby Referee Society.
Is it referee or
Eastern Rockies Rugby Eastern Rockies Rugby
Singular.
Society.
Referee is singular.
Yeah.
All in favor of the friendly amendment? Raise your hand. All opposed?
Seriously, guys.
Elections.
Karen's
Real quick, just because Jane brought up, just put it on your calendar already. I think January 11th is going to be the only day that works. Because the weekend after is an okay weekend, that a lot of families and stuff go out of town Mondays, so. That's, unless anyone's opposed, I will just start planning that now, January 11th. Yes, okay.
Sounds good, thanks, Karen.
All right. Okay.
No.
We will, already hearing here, just, it's noted.
something rugby?
Yes?
Derek. Summers, Jesus.
According to our old and new bylaws, or proposed bylaws, there are 3 elected positions. Treasurer, match secretary, and chair. As we've grown, and as you can look at Ryan's report and see how many matches we have to keep track of and pay, how many matches we have to assign, etc. We have in the past, this year, set a precedent with match secretary of having 2 people to share that responsibility. I think it worked fairly well. And I don't think it requires a change to the bylaws to have 2 people split 1 vote as a voting member and do it. So, let's go first with match secretary.
I nominate Ray and Stu.
Second, Ray and Stu.
Any other nominations?
I move nominations closed.
I nominate Gary.
Too late, Gil seconded. Hey, we're on the railroad to get this.
Joe?
Yeah, before we go on with this, I'm sorry I wasn't quick enough on the draw here. I was still using my stupid phone to enter the social. I think we need to be careful of who the match secretaries will be. I'm assuming that Ray and Stu have been spoken to and they're willing to do this, but these two guys are in the mix themselves. And I'm not doubting their integrity at all, gentlemen, very clear on that, but I think we need to be careful of who does the appointments, you know, what their
I
involvement
agree.
on the field is.
But I think we can control that by having to have an approval on a weekly basis. We started doing that towards the end of this year.
Very good, thank you.
And
Withdrawn.
if we see they're giving themselves Barbados versus Goodell, we would probably say no.
I don't know, it's kind of a self-correcting problem, John.
Yes, sir.
My comment was just gonna be, can you just walk us through that process then, so that they submit what it is to like you or the RDO or whatever it is, and who's checking off, who's the one saying these are our strategic goals for developing refs?
This year, I was looking at it as well as Tim's son.
Okay.
And we'll just have to get more involved with that.
Yeah, so can I say something about that?
Yep.
So part of the reason I agreed to participate in this plan was kind of under a set of conditions. That being that the job of us as match secretary would be a lot more logistical and less developmental.
Yep,
Right,
that's,
so each player would have either, you know, this player is gonna start doing D3 men's, by the end of the season they should be comfortably D2. This person's kind of plateaued at D2, just keep them there all season, right?
yep,
So
just for the group, I wanted to outline the process.
Right. So I don't want to be making the decision of this person's not equipped for this match. I'm just saying this person, this is a peg, this is a hole, it fits.
Yep,
Next.
that's fine.
Yeah, and we have to be, this is a very reasonable thing because we've had questions called about self-assignment. And it's a pain in the butt.
I'm not even worried about the self-assignment. I think, I just wanted to kind of clarify for the room the process of how assignments go about and who's checking in to make sure things are going along.
You will also get two-week lead time with our platform. And guys, there's some things that were spoken to. That's kind of the ideal where we do it that way. And then there's this thing called reality where the schedule is evolving on an hourly basis. And there's some of you guys got 4 and 5 game changes for a weekend. I know Brewer would call me up and just go, just pick a place, send me, because these teams are doing stuff and we're constantly evolving the schedule. And it's very noble to want to do it that way. And it sometimes even works that way, but
Well, that's what you do, and then you get the initial ones, then you change people around. Yeah, that's the way it works.
Would you work together all year, or would you split the season?
We haven't figured that out yet. I think if elected, we'll consider some options and pick.
Is there a reason you guys look alike?
It's easy to
Do you accept PayPal or do you prefer cash?
My suggestion to you guys would be, one of you make the assignments on a 2-weekly basis, and the other person pick up the mess that has to be picked up every weekend, and flip-flop.
Right, take the easy job.
Yeah, that's what I would advocate, that we'll work on as a team, with one of us handling the reassignments, and one of us handling the longer range stuff, and then switching it off throughout the year, so.
I'm sure Stu's pretty well trained on reassignments. And then you guys have Gil and I to lean on if you guys need advice or liquor delivery.
Any further nominations, somebody wanting to throw themselves into the mix? All in favor of these two? Martyrs. Opposed?
Martyrs. Stu, you know your way around.
You didn't even vote for yourselves.
You know your way around the computer.
Oh, yeah.
Cuts out the
Frazier,
middleman. Stu, make that change. Cuts out the middleman.
I've heard rumor that we had 2 people that might want to work on that.
Nominate Steve Gore.
Second.
Or what, treasurer?
and Mark probably assisting him.
Yeah, I've offered to help Steve with the treasurer, but.
I'll make that nomination.
As is Greg and Ryan.
Yeah.
I'm willing to be the strong arm.
We have 4 people wanting to help out the treasurer, are you serious? What is this organization?
Oh.
Bunch of nerds, man.
So, again, I think we're trying to delegate more responsibility to more people, which is great. So, it's good to have Mark and Greg and Ryan help. So, let's have Steve be the treasurer, and then you could delegate who you want to help. I mean, the more the merrier, but Steve, you'll be the voting. We probably won't split your votes 4 ways, but you'll be the main treasurer.
Yeah, someone has to sign off on tax forms.
Yeah, so that's actually a really interesting point. One of the things that I feel that we should do, and that I will do if I'm the treasurer, is do 1099s for you guys as referees. So you will receive tax statements and have to pay taxes, potentially, on money you make as a referee, or get a tax credit if you have expenses. So it'll be, at the very least, more work on your part.
Track your mileage if that's going to happen.
Is this your platform speech?
Yeah, this is my platform. This is what you should know, and I think that there's potentially like some extra costs to the society of making, getting the software to do all of that. But I think that that's where we need to go. So
The only other option would be to become a what?
ROC.
well, I still think we have to pay taxes.
You still have to do that.
To get that
You start
designation,
invoicing
you
on the
have to go through
1099,
this.
you need to get down to Secretary of State. It's not a big deal, it's $50 filing fee, but we need to have those bylaws approved, we have to have the articles of incorporation, we need to incorporate as a company, and it doesn't have to be anything in particular, but through all of that, as you're doing it, make sure that you specifically have looked at the 501c3 stuff to make sure that when we file, all of that is in line. I did it for ERRFU the first time around, it's a royal pain in the ass. And the other part of that is, once you open Pandora's box that way, you are now committing that we have to file a Form 990Z each year, depending upon how much money we're actually funneling through and what we're keeping. I mean, it's doing that, sending out the 1099, we have to have the TIN, we have to have everything else to be able to do it, and it isn't as simple as, hey, I'm just gonna make sure that everybody's getting a 1099. You're committing the organization to doing, like you just said, what's right, but make sure you do it right the first way so that we can get the 501c3 status.
Yeah, we be a business.
Yeah.
Joe?
Steve, if we're gonna go forward with this tax legitimizing, then I am all in favor of changing the name to Rocky Mountain Rugby Referees, because we don't wanna get the last 40 years audited.
Good thing this will be going up on the interwebs.
We might be getting ahead of ourselves a little bit. There are thresholds to hobby income and things, and I bet most of the people in this room, don't be, and it's not like the whole payment, that doesn't count out. So we might be, not a lot of people in this room probably actually wouldn't get one sometimes. So we can talk about it. I think we should talk about it a little outside the meeting, but.
Okay, any other? This is where we're headed. We now see what our proposed, our nominated treasurer is taking us. Any other nominations?
Move to close.
Move to close?
Second.
All in favor? All opposed?
A lot of stuff in my car for you.
Brian, do you have?
You don't have to send out another bill.
Right.
Tell them to bring your boys.
Do you have some kit and stuff?
Not really.
No.
We have training cops, but.
Not that you can prove.
Can we at least hand those out to people that don't have them? Like Jamie and Karif and
That's your new treasure.
this gentleman back there. It's not going to take effect until January, so I'm asking you.
Hey, you're like, I'm out.
Ryan, you run the treasurer.
Huh?
You run the
We don't get to vote on who votes.
Nominate Tom Silver.
Well, let him get up there first.
Any nominations for chairman?
Nominate Tom Coburn.
Second.
Second.
Gotta be quick.
Any other nominations?
Move to close.
Second. All right, all in favor? All opposed?
There it is.
Anybody have any more business that needs to be conducted this evening? All right, Eric? No, I called Eric first.
Wearing the men's club hat from the Rocky Mountain Rugby Union, the Provo Steelers and Park City Haggis have requested, with conversation from Sam Madsen, that we take on their league matches only.
Say that again?
The Provo Steelers and Park City Haggis do not want to be covered by the Utah refs. The feeling seems to be mutual based on my conversations with Sam.
So
They basically
Sam
want
agrees to that?
Yes, he doesn't want senior club rugby.
So they'll pay the mileage?
Yeah, so they want to know what the cost would be, what the steps are.
Wait, so are we considering charging out-of-state teams more because it's further away?
No, we're charging them.
But only until they have.
But Kurt, Grand Junction's still in Colorado.
It's at the request of those teams that I bring it up and ask what the steps were, if it's even considerable.
Those steps have already been done once.
Yep.
With BYU.
University of Utah is looking to do that as well.
Yep.
And basically, you'll have to come up with what it's gonna cost to fly. There's no way to get people there.
Yep.
And what we billed BYU over the last year has been the match fee plus expenses.
Yeah, it's a match fee of $200, because, well, are we assigning a team? Well, we're not assigning a team of 3. So 150.
They pay that flight.
It's 150, but you need those matches need a team of 3, and we're not going to fly our team of 3. So there's got to be a provision that Utah has to provide 2 assistant referees, of which Rocky Mountain Union will pay those assistant referees $25 plus mileage for them, and so it'll be $200 plus all expenses to the referee, flights, car rental.
What have those flights for Utah and BYU traditionally been?
About $250.
Like
So you can say that it's gonna be costing about $400.
Yeah, it's about $430.
It kind of goes back to that consistency issue of half their games are here, and they have a very different level of refereeing than their home games, and it's frustrating to them. And they also really don't like having Utah refs on Provo matches.
Yeah, and the other part about that, do not guarantee them a quality of referee.
Nope.
I mean, last year, it was written into the BYU contract, it had to be a national panel referee, and that was outside of our control. All of a sudden, Fred's assigned all the NP referees from Colorado. We had to fly someone in at our expense, fly somebody in from NorCal, who was former NP, to be able to cover the match to live up to the contractual obligation. So don't tell them you get an NP rep.
Nope. They just want to know the steps.
Why not?
I don't think we're going to put
we
a
can't
C3
guarantee
on a Provo match anyway.
Because Fred controls that.
So that's
Fred controls the NP, not us.
they just wanted to know the steps.
Yeah.
And, you know, we can't guarantee first division here or whatever, so you get national panel referees either, so that's reasonable.
I just simply wanted to acknowledge the outgoing committee members who have spent many, many hours in the past year filling their posts.
We can maybe table this till February, but we talked about Kurt writing up the rules around the high school rugby and the zone for their coaches and the like.
Technical zone?
Correct. I don't know if we technically adopted that. I didn't rep one game where it was in place.
Yeah,
It was marked out. Or
it's up to, yeah.
There's a growing, it seemed to me there's a growing animosity over the course of, that I was here over fall and spring. So we can table that till February. I know that we were talking about a document.
Technically, it's in place, and
It exists already, the document exists.
and the document exists, and the teams have been all sent the document.
Okay.
Or the person responsible has been sent the document.
So
Whether or not the team's got that document.
I think this is something where we have to, this is to Eric's point, we have to vote they service, and there's a certain amount of things that we can control, and then there's a certain amount of things they're gonna have to control, and we can this is an ask of them, this has to be their policy, it can't be our policy.
And the senior clubs, the men's senior clubs, have actually been asked to enforce technical zones and scoreboards this year. They're actually gonna start getting fined in January if they don't start doing that.
More specifically, Rugby Colorado.
So Rugby Colorado,
You'd have to talk to Rugby Colorado.
I remember that executive committee, that they're open to supporting the referees as best they can.
Sure.
I mean, they did sanction some coaches pretty severely for not complying with last year's thing. They want to help.
Yeah.
Just go ask them.
I'll go to the AGM and ask for it.
And so you're gonna go on the 11th
Whenever.
to the Rugby Colorado. Thank you.
Getting into the colleges, but
Can we get back to Rugby Colorado for a second? We did the technical zones at their playoffs and at their finals. They loved it, and from what I got from Karen Lane is, they want to go to that for at least all their jamboree style rugby next year. And they're gonna have their own number to handle all their, they wanna go, they loved it, they wanna go forward with all of it.
awesome, that's great.
That's the girls.
Okay. That is our foot in the door.
So maybe the boys can learn something.
Oh, they should know.
Teams tend to like technical zones when they start.
Yeah.
Dale, and then.
Yeah.
Quiet,
Hey, as the rumored, next RDO, as Tim won't be taking that role next year, reading his missive, one of the big things that was in there was, talking about coaching as a sound development. And with what, I think it was Eric brought up about who the RDO is supposed to be, what they're supposed to be doing. That's really a role, at least in my mind, that should be, how do I build the referee society? How do I build a strong cadre of C2, C1 referees so that day in, day out, we never are at a loss for who can handle this the whole match. And then when we get folks who can be national panel, who can be B panel, that's the icing on the cake. But my focus is going to be, how do I build strong C2s, strong C1s? Mark's focus on the zone managers, how does he cherry pick those strong C1s and turn them into B panels? So take some time, please. Think about what went right. What did you like about Tim as the RDO? What were the great things that he did so that I can keep doing that? And also, without making it personal by any means, hopefully, what do you want to see differently? How can I make it better for you? So send me a note, send me an email, I'll compile that. If you don't want your name attached to it, feel free to send it to Coburn and he'll delete it and send it on to me. But just really, I want to go ahead and help shake that up and try and innovate it for you.
What? I went blank. We had RDO, and what was the other one?
ECO, Development Committee Officer.
Okay.
We'll take them both out. Oh, the bylaws, not.
Outside.
We're listening to my state.
Where's the laser? Hostage. Where's the laser coming from?
The code of conduct that was circulated, are we moving that to the next agenda?
I think we skipped it.
What's written on the big board?
Way to go, Nelson. Come on, Nelson. You had one thing to get right.
56.
So sorry.
So did everybody read that?
Yes.
Has anybody offered any new suggestions that I haven't seen since 4 o'clock?
Minor grammatical.
Yeah.
Still went grammar Nazi on us in a good way, so it was welcome.
So we'll vote on that in February also,
That needs to be signed.
and we'll sign it in February. if we-
Why don't we vote on it now?
It's
It
9 o'clock.
has to be
56.
available.
I'm just gonna vote no.
Okay? I mean, it should be available to people other than one day. We won't want to look like the Affordable Health Care Act.
Whoa.
He's a doctor. He's a doctor.
Take that, Mama.
No, that was from Nancy. Yeah, pass it, then we'll read it.
Are we still good Mondays meetings?
Everybody still good on Mondays for meetings?
I thought you couldn't do Mondays anymore.
No, that's why I'm here.
Can now.
Can you not do Mondays?
I may have every day.
All but 71 of them.
So, yeah, not a problem Mondays.
Okay, one of the stipulations I kind of worked with Kieran Nelson, who's runs the show here, is that for $125 to rent this room. We also get an hour of access to the HATC. I'm now taking that away because none of you have used it. So I'm only gonna go back to just $100 for the room, 7 o'clock.
I have to do training center is the gym downstairs.
Wait, what was the deal?
I didn't know we had it.
I don't think anybody knew we had it.
Yeah, I made it clear that when we moved here, we had an hour's of access to the meeting. Before here, Kurt just showed, I mean, it's just, we're wasting $25 on it for no one to show.
I think everyone got confused that with the, we don't have the $8 a month at the gym
No,
thing.
we do
thought
not
were gonna-
have that. We
Yeah,
have-
but I think
we
everyone
come here-
confused
Well,
those issues.
again, I don't have to.
Here.
I mean, if you guys want it.
Make it a
you
question
can
mark.
use it.
Make it a question.
Do you guys want the HATC an hour before meetings? Or do you want to save $25 and just charge $100 for this room at 7 to 9?
Who would use it?
Who honestly would use it other than Jamie already have access to it?
I'm not raising my hand because I use it, I have a comment to make. I would say if this contributed, just like the laws quiz and this hour of training and some other things contributed overall to making you go up the ladder, it might help to incentivize us all to do it. So if this was part of the, if you made the hour trainings per month and you did the law quiz and you attended meetings and did whatever else it was, to get PR, referee, AR, whatever goals you have, it might help that.
Is that,
Well, the fitness beforehand, it kinda does.
I mean, are we just scrapping any pre-meeting session at all, or are we gonna
No,
still
we're
do it
just
on field or
scrapping,
something like that?
we're just,
or what?
well, it's tough to really do a pre-meeting session on the field, because of, it's so booked out there. We have to push some kids out of the way today, and Greg Wolf can attest to this about being knocked out unconscious when doing recess one time. So we sneak on there when it's ideal, but it's not.
Cause I think,
Can I make a motion to keep it for next month and Jamie can show us Olympic lifts?
I can keep it all year. You wanna save
Proper
$25
Olympic
and have
lifts,
it,
we
or
know
do you
what
not
we're
wanna do
doing.
it?
You still finished.
Margaret,
We're
it's
talking about $300 a year, it's not that much.
not even that,
I'm just
250.
asking, I'm just,
Basically, I want you guys to show
so,
up.
here's the vote. Who wants to continue it?
You gotta show up and raise your hand.
Who wants to save $25?
No, I just sit there and say,
come on, Glenn.
reinforce it.
Yeah, I have it.
So,
Reinforce the difference.
Are you making fun of I didn't have a baby?
I'm just saying.
anybody else have anything else?
Okay, so real quick, we talked about this last time. Kurt and I have talked about doing a coaches and captains meeting before this upcoming season with the men's and college clubs, and then a separate one with the high school clubs. We're gonna try to do that in February after our meeting, maybe like a Saturday or Sunday. So if you think that is a terrible idea, come and talk to me afterwards, or if you think it's a great idea and wanna
How long is
come
that?
and talk to me afterwards.
How long is that planned to be? Because there's scheduled a winter AGM for the.
Cool, so come talk to me when we're done.
The other thing along that line is, there's nothing wrong going out to your local club, wherever you may live, and coaching them on what referees are looking at.
Make sure you've read the game management guidelines before you do that.
Yes.
Just about.
Okay?
I'm not looking at you. I'm
still
not looking at you.
still right
It's not fault, they've already made that whole.
Anybody move to adjourn?
We adjourn.
Second. Thanks for a great AGM, guys. Everybody